I'll say it now, I'll say it again, I'll say it forever, because that's been my whole life. Is being raised by white people in an all white community. That's not to say I don't and didn't appreciate it. It's just it's crazy because you think that you as a black person would be given equality if you're being raised by white people, but you're not. And I think my dad expected me to be equal to my white brothers just because he raised me. I think that he thought that equality would just be something I was given because a white man raised me. I think that there's a lot of ignorance, even if you have minority people in your life. If and it's, I don't want to condemn anybody that helped me get where I'm at, but I think people need to fucking wake up. And I've been waking up to realize people just don't know this shit, and it's because you keep your mouth shut. I keep my mouth shut because we don't want there to be a fucking issue. But I honestly think that when there are issues, it's because people are too scared to say something or they don't want to cause a conflict. They don't want to make waves. I had a conversation with somebody that said, "This is just so hard to talk about. I can't right now." That's what white privilege is. When you choose to walk away from equality, from inequality, when you choose, because you can choose that, and that's what white privilege is. When I had teachers speak to me about acknowledging that, I thought, wow, people really acknowledge that. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm raised with the most conservative man. He doesn't even think Trump is conservative enough. If you think I'm fucked up, I was given a fucked up complex. Try being mixed and minority in an all-white town, in an all-white community, and it wasn't. I don't mean to get political, but I wasn't put in a Democratic house. I was put in a very strict conservative white home in the border of Wisconsin, not Southside Minneapolis. So if you want to say I'm fucked up, I welcome it. I welcome it. I don't think that you can be put in the situation. I don't think many people can be put in that situation. Some of the people I know that have killed themselves or have become destructive in their own life. It's beside the point. I think people need to wake up and realize just because you have black people or colored people in your life doesn't mean that you're treating them equally. It really doesn't. Choosing when you can have and don't want to have a conversation because it's difficult. Truth is hard to hear. This is hard. This is hard. I don't even think, you know, one, I don't think there's enough therapists on call right now. Yeah, this is just scratching the surface. This is just scratching the surface. But I want to go back all the way to Little Crow. They drug his body. He was picking berries and they shot him and they drug his body 12 miles back into Hutchinson. And they did something with his scalp. Okay? And then Kent State, we could make it about race. For me, it's just the fact that we've allowed this. And 20 years, like I told my mom, 20 years ago, people were too scared to say something and were too scared to have a conversation. And now we're like, well, what is all this? 20 years ago, I was experiencing racism that my mother wouldn't even acknowledge. I couldn't even get my mom to validate my experience of being followed in a store, stereotype. Well, you're only mixed. Or if I say something about being black, being raised as a colored in Stillwater, it's, well, we did the best we could. My experience turns into an attack. And I think that's the problem, is when we talk about our experience, all of a sudden on the other side it becomes an attack. Man, this is just one thing after a fucking another. Epstein, Weinstein, and we gotta fucking find that bitch. His girlfriend, Jeffrey Epstein. We gotta find that woman. We got to find her. She's eluding the law. She's the one recruiting. She's the one recruiting them girls. She just disappeared because we got distracted with this coronavirus. Now we got this coronavirus, and we had Ahmaud, right, in Florida. Then the pandemic. Now this. This is just so much. This is so much to deal with. I was already needing therapy before. Because I'm adopted, I lost custody of my daughter. And now we gotta see this fucking image play over and over and over again. And this motherfucker ain't in jail. I unplugged a month for Passover, and then it's like, I'm glad I could do that. It's just, I know we repeat 95% of the same shit. This is just so fucking hard. And I don't know where they're having this conversation. But all I can do is have it with these individuals that I have. This has to be talked about. Whether you're doing it with yourself to process, or you're doing it to somebody else. Go run, go swim, go do something. There's a lot of energy that needs to be released. You know, Native American people, I think, would run from Stillwater to Minneapolis in just one trip, nonstop. That's how much energy we are capable of having, but we're not using it right. We're not using our potential right. It's hard to talk about. In order to fix the problem, you have to talk about the problem. And that's part of the problems that nobody want to talk about the problem. You have to acknowledge the problem, talk about it. Grieve. It's a natural experience. Anger is a natural element to emotion. Anger, violence is not. Anger is just as being happy. And remember, a tear on the cheek does not make you weak. Talk to somebody. Talk to yourself. Reach out to somebody. Somebody said, Kelsey, you say,